This is a special edition of Late Night Health. I'm Mark Alyn. We're going to take a look at the health of our school-age kids on school buses. Our guest is Tucker Perkins. He's the president and CEO of the Propane Education and Research Council, and it's a position he's held for the last 5 years, almost 6 years. Tucker, welcome back to Late Night Health.
Mark, it's great to be with you again. Thank you.
I'm really curious. I mean, the same material, the same gas that people use for their barbecues can power school buses and make it safer for the kids?
Yeah, propane is really proving to be such a versatile fuel. And as we think about it in transportation, particularly in medium duty transportation like school buses, it just has such wonderful properties for reducing emissions, giving children a healthier ride to school, a quieter ride to school, and really benefiting both the community, the child, and the school system.
In the news recently, natural gas has come under attack, okay? Because we use it in our kitchens for cooking. And a couple of weeks ago, I actually did a story with PERC about using propane in kitchens. Is propane a safer and healthier gas than natural gas?
Well, generally where natural gas is often being attacked there is because it has methane, and unburned natural gas escaping into the atmosphere is a pretty rough greenhouse gas. It interacts and really contributes to global warming. Propane doesn't contain methane, so in the narrow scope of just environmental benefit, greenhouse gases, propane is much better. One of the reasons you see it used as a refrigerant in a lot of the U.S. and the world. But when we talk about the other harmful pollutants that come from burning diesel fuel or gasoline, propane is so much cleaner. You think about it yourself. You've been behind a diesel truck or bus when it pulled away from a stop, and you see that cloud of black smoke. Inside that cloud of black smoke are multiple harmful emissions, but for children, the one that really impacts their lung quality, with propane, that black cloud is gone, right? Children are improved from their ability to have asthma or bronchitis. We see that time and time again, that propane is a much cleaner fuel when it comes to the health of a child.
It would seem to me also that it would allow kids to think better because they don't have the effect of those diesel fumes while they're on the bus, and then when they get into the classroom.
You know, Mark, Georgia State did a study, and the study revealed that children riding to school in low-emission buses tested higher in math and science. And a lot of people were, mesmerized by that study, but it really just convinced us of things we had already learned, that children arriving to school in a quieter bus, a propane bus is quieter than diesel, a healthier bus, they go to school more days. And that whole environment, a warm cabin, no concerns about whether the bus will make it to school on time or not. The healthy environment it allows children, when they get to school, they're ready to learn, and they in turn learn faster and better. And so we were glad to see that study confirm really what teachers, school leaders, and even parents had told us, is that putting their child in a propane-powered school bus gave them a chance to be healthier, calmer, and do better in school.
School systems are under constraints budget-wise to replace their fleet of school buses. Isn't that expensive, or are there ways around that where there may be budgets available to replace some or all of their school buses?
Yeah, so let's kind of take that in two bites, if you will. One, propane compared to diesel, because I think if we think about today, really the choices are either to go in a propane school bus or a diesel school bus. Propane initial cost is comparable to diesel, but the operating cost is half. In fact, most school systems save $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 per year per bus. So a really strong savings profile compared to diesel. But even as we think about school transportation of the future, I think we'll talk about propane and battery electric buses. And when we do that, the real savings there is in choosing propane. It's 1/3 the cost of a diesel, of an electric bus, 1/3 the cost. And really what that allows us to do is get rid of those older, dirty diesel buses at 3 times the rate. The good news is, to your point, there are some programs out there, federal and state programs, to get rid of aging, dirty buses, to have modern buses. And so propane buses are eligible for those rebates. So it really makes a very affordable upfront solution, as well as the operating costs are much better than what the school system had been accustomed to. So they save money on the purchase, and they save money every day the buses operate.
It would seem to me that bus systems themselves, public transportation, would also benefit from propane buses.
We're seeing a massive migration in paratransit. So think about those shuttles that take people to and from the doctor, usually operated by part of your municipal bus system, and other buses that transport people. Yes, moving from diesel to propane, giving them the same benefits: cleaner air, quieter ride, saving money. And we're seeing a massive migration in shuttle buses around the country as well, fueled on propane.
Propane also comes from oil. Am I correct in that? I mean, there's oil, it's made from pumping oil?
Yeah, so actually most of the propane in the country today comes from refining natural gas, from cleaning up natural gas. In California, a small part of the propane does come from cleaning up oil, but today it's almost exclusively coming from cleaning up natural gas. What I think people don't realize is that the United States is the world's largest producer of propane by far. And we work hard to see equipment like propane-powered school buses continue to be used more and more, so we can have this vital domestic resource called propane that used for our own benefit, right? It's cheaper than the alternatives on both initial cost and operating cost, cleaner than the alternatives. Even as we think about a battery electric school buses, people forget that 60% of the electric grid is produced by natural gas, coal, or oil. And so even cleaner than many cases electric grid. So
and less expensive, because
Yes.
the price difference, for example, in a car from gas to electric can be 30% more for the same car.
That's right. And what we see is, I think even as you move from passenger cars to medium duty or heavy duty equipment like school buses or trucks, those batteries become even more expensive. The difficulties in having adequate infrastructure even more important. And with a propane powered bus, infrastructure is already in place, much cheaper initial cost, very economical to operate. So all of the things that we think about as solutions in the future, propane is really there today, and we help reduce carbon emissions today in choosing propane.
That is terrific. If parents and grandparents want more information, where can they go to find out more about using propane for school buses?
We created a website, betterourbuses.com. It's the right place for parents and grandparents to go, one, to learn a little bit more about what we've talked about, to learn how to engage with their local leaders about how to have a conversation about clearing the air and quieting the ride by choosing a better fuel for school buses. So again, that website is betterourbuses.com.
betterourbuses.com. Tucker Perkins has been our guest. He's the president and CEO of the Propane Education and Research Council. I thank you again for joining us. This is Late Night Health.